started Hungry Gopher, I had no idea I'll be talking about health and wellness and the impact of anti-inflammatory diet. Through the course of reversing chronic skin condition that I had and reducing much of back pain and the stomach aches and losing 14 pounds in 12 months by dropping steroids that I relied on for 3 decades, I learned that at the core of it, eating anti-inflammatory diet was a very important component to reverse my chronic conditions. I applied the same exact formula to my mother when she had severe back pain that she couldn't get up straight in the morning for about 3 hours when she woke up, because I knew there was a connection between inflammation and food and the immune system. So let me show you a little draft here. I'm gonna hang out for a few minutes here. So let me show you. I drew a little chart for you. Let's see how I can show you better here. All right, I'm getting better with the camera. Okay, that's better. All right. Okay, if you're joining in, say hello and tell your name and where you're from, so I know I'm talking to a person, not a green dot. That'll be awesome. So why this part? Hello. So people started to show up. That's wonderful. So let's say hello. Let's socialize because we are on social media. Say hello and tell me where you're from, and that'll be awesome. So I know I'm talking to a person. It really helps me to get energized. So I know I'm talking to a person, not just a green dot over here. So say hello. All right, we have some people showing up here, which is cool. So this is all based on science. So how does this work? So when your gut is healthy, this is a little jarring. When your gut is healthy, your inflammation goes down. They're all happening in your gut because 80% of your immune system is located in your gut. So when your gut is healthy, your inflammation goes down and it affects your immune system. It's a cycle. Your inflammation is happening when your immune system sees something as a threat to your body, then it shoots out inflammatory chemicals to protect you, basically. If actually a pathogen comes in, inflammation is very important for your body, that it fends off and it protects you. But if it's chronic inflammation, you eat something that's highly inflammatory most of the time, then it's gonna raise inflammation and that becomes chronic, and that's just really bad news. You're stuck in vicious cycle. That's how you get severe pain in your body, because those chemicals will settle, inflammatory chemicals will settle in your joints and muscles. Then based on wherever you are weak genetically, if you had skin problem like I had growing up, or for a joint and muscle pains, or hello, people are joining in, and say hello, type in where you're from. They'll be really awesome. So I know I'm talking to a person. It's wonderful that you joined. Say hello and tell me where you're from. And as you have questions, type in the chat box so I can answer them at the end. So today we are talking about 3 simple ways to improve gut health. So it's a weekly live 3 already that I'm doing it every Thursday. So you can join every Thursday at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So if you just joined, say hello and tell me where you're from. That way I get to know you and we get to know each other. So 3 simple ways to improve your gut health is, first one is removing highly inflammatory foods. So what are those? Gluten and dairy, especially cow dairies, can be very inflammatory. The reason is that gluten is mostly coming from wheat. It's the protein that's binding carbohydrates in wheat that can be highly inflammatory. A lot of wheat is GMO. So these are genetically modified. So that's why they are even more deadly and raise more inflammation in the body. If you have back pain, if you have skin problems, chronic skin problems, if you have stomach ache, I highly recommend taking that highly inflammatory foods, gluten and dairy, at least for a week and see how your body responds. Because your body is an intricate instrument that your body will tell you. When you take this out, for if you had eaten a lot of junk food, you might feel tired for a few days. That happened to me and my mother. But after a few days, you start to feel better and your energy increased. So start noticing it when you try this. So number one step you can do to improve your gut health, which lowers inflammation in the body. That means you're gonna have a lot less pain. And so remove those and try that. So more people are joining in, and say hello and see. That's awesome. You guys are joining in. Say hello and tell me where you're from. So I know we are a global community and get to know you. So it's wonderful that you joined, and thanks for joining in. Today we are talking about 3 simple ways to improve gut health. And this is Korean Health Secret Weekly Live number 3. So that's awesome. And if you have any questions as I go on, please type in so I can answer them for you. If your question comes later after the live ends, you can leave comment. So I might make a video about it, and in the next week or some weekly episode, I can go over this to answer your questions. So that's good. So add anti-inflammatory food. So when you take out anti-inflammatory food, you want to add something good that's good for your gut health. So one of it is gut-friendly food, which is organic food and non-GMO food. And specifically, the food that's rich in probiotic is very, very good for you. Good for your gut, which is kimchi and sauerkraut, kombucha. So try those. If you haven't tried them yet, you'll be surprised because those have awesome vitamins and minerals, and also low in calories and high in fiber. And I noticed that personally, they really helps with my digestion. One of the things that I did by overcoming after 30 years of steroids, when the steroids stopped working, my gut health was in big trouble because I used steroids for 3 decades and I ate a lot of food that wasn't gut friendly. One thing that you don't know that you're eating a lot of GMOs and chemicals is that if you're eating low quality meat that has a lot of formaldehyde in not so gut friendly stuff, because those animals, I'm not voting for plant-based diet or anything. I eat mostly plant-based food, but I also eat a lot of good quality meat too, because my husband is from Ohio and he loves barbecue and I love barbecue too, but in small doses. So when you eat those factory farm raised food, meat, things bioaccumulate, and what they're fed is usually GMOs, and they don't exercise, so they don't have a way to detox it either. So you're basically eating very unhealthy animals. So that's one of the things very hard for the gut. So take this out. So remove those highly inflammatory foods and see how it feels. Try for a week. I mean, what can you lose, right? If you're like my mother who had debilitating back pain, she had severe back pain that she couldn't even get up straight or stand up straight when she woke up in the morning for a couple of hours. And if you have highly inflammatory condition like I had, joint and muscle pains and the chronic skin problem that even steroids stopped working after 3 decades, if you have those, try removing those highly inflammatory foods that I mentioned earlier, which is gluten and cow dairy, and try for a week and see how it feels. If you just joined in, I'm talking about 3 simple ways to improve your gut health. So say hello and tell me where you're from, and that'll be wonderful to know. And also type in your questions when you have questions so I can answer them as they come in. So one of the ways to help your gut health is to add gut-friendly food, such as probiotics. Food that is rich in probiotics. What is rich in probiotics? Fermented food. Kimchi, sauerkrauts, those are great. But dairy can be a little tricky because dairy can raise your inflammation, especially ones that's farm-raised, like factory farm-raised cow's milk. So if you have highly inflammatory conditions, like back pain, stomach ache, if you have a constant digestion problem, that's a big warning sign that something is not going great in your gut. And if you catch a cold easily and you can shake it off, that's a warning sign of that something is not going well in your gut, because 80% of your immune system is located in your gut. If you're constantly getting sick, that was the case for me. I caught cold every time I flew, and I think that was the life was. And I love traveling. I did scuba diving. Then I went, whenever I flew to scuba dive somewhere, I got a cold, and I'm like, oh, what am I gonna do? And I always took medicine because I didn't want to ruin my vacation. But I didn't know that was coming from my gut health problem. So eat organic and probiotic food, and that's number 2. That's a second way to lower inflammation in your body and improve your gut health. The third one, if you have done, I know many of you have emailed me that you've tried all kinds of diet and you've been eating very healthy and you're not getting the result. Well, here's the jackpot for you, because I was there. When I got really sick without diagnosis after doing anti-inflammatory diet for 3 years, I was eating very clean, but somehow I got very, very sick, seemingly out of nowhere. I was so tired that I couldn't even get out of house very much, and I was just exhausted when I woke up from downstairs to upstairs. I spent most of the time on the couch. This is the time, if you have followed me long, that I couldn't even do Hungry River because I was too sick to work. What happened is that I overlearned about doing healthy diet. So here's what I wanted to go over again here. So if you can see it here, let me sure you can see it. Cool. All right. So your gut health and immune system are closely related, because 80% of your immune system is located in your gut. So they're constantly talking back and forth. So when you're eating healthy food, but if you're hyper vigilant about it, your immune system goes on hyper alarm mode. I learned this in a hard way, and I've also seen it amongst my friends a lot, who is very clean. They do the clean diet and they're hyper vigilant about it. Like, you go to a restaurant, and I was like that, studying the menu like I'm getting a PhD. Then that puts your immune system on hyper alarm mode. It's not what you're not thinking that, but it's running in the background. And that puts your immune system in fight and flight mode in the background most of the time. That causes inflammation. Then your immune system gets real jumpy, and just any small thing, even food that is seized as an alarm, then it just shoots out these inflammatory chemicals, and that's one of the ways actually can raise inflammation. So if you have done all kinds of diets, like keto diet, vegan, plant-based diet, or anti-histamine diet, paleo or intermittent fasting, all of those, if you have done very healthy diet more than a couple of years, if you're not seeing the results anymore, you're stuck there, that means your problem is at a little different level and you might just need a little tweak there. So that's another live, but that's the essence of it. So do it slowly and try to apply about the 80-20 rule. If you're healthy about 80% of the time, if you're eating out 20% of the time and you're eating not so great stuff, that's fine. That's fine. You don't have to be perfect. Perfection is boring anyway. So that's in a nutshell, and 3 simple ways to improve gut health. Today I'm talking about 3 simple ways to improve gut health. So if you have any questions, type in. And if your questions come up later, just leave a comment in social media. You can download top 3 Korean anti-inflammatory recipes. Here in the description box, I'm also putting in the chat room there, so you can sign up to that way you can download the recipe and try it on your own, and they'll also get you on my email list, so I can keep you posted. And I'm preparing a fabulous master class that's coming up. So that I'll go in depth about this because there's a lot to cover and I don't want to overwhelm you in these small bits. So sign up to download top 3 Korean anti-inflammatory recipes. That way you can get your journey started with the simple and delicious recipes. All right. I think that's it for today. And thanks for watching. And I'll see you next time.